Introducing motivational keynote speaker Marilyn Sherman, who helps companies increase their profits by inspiring people to get out of their comfort zone and live life in the front row. Watch how Marilyn inspires people to stop complaining and have more success at work and in life. With a message of hope and encouragement, Marilyn Sherman.
I believe life is a big venue, and we have choices as to where we sit in our life. We can sit in the balcony, which balcony seats are not very good. And oftentimes when you're in the balcony, it's view obstructed, it's just not the best seat in the house. Or we can sit in general admission. General admission is not bad. It's not great, but it's not bad. I wrote a book on how to get out of your comfort zone, so to me, people that live life in general admission are people that are stuck in a comfort zone. And then we could live in the front row. And that to me is where life is lived. Living in the front row of life is where you get to say every day, man, it doesn't get any better than this. And being in the front row of your life doesn't necessarily literally mean being in the front row, but it just means for you, what does your front row look like for you? And I asked a couple of people what their favorite front row seat moments were, and it varies. And Richard Shelp, my ambassador, his favorite front row seat was taking his son when he was a lot younger to an NBA basketball game, and to see his son stand next to Yao Ming, this huge basketball player from China. He said that was one of his front row seat experiences in his life. Now, for you, basketball may be like no big deal. Holly Catchpole, sitting in the front row. She said her front row recently just happened when her daughter performed at Carnegie Hall. Isn't that great? So what I like to do is inspire people to get out of their comfort zone and live life in the front row. Now, why am I so passionate about helping people live life in the front row? It's because I had a balcony experience when I was very young, and I vowed that one day I would inspire people to never have that kind of feeling again. It was when I was 13 years old. Can any of you remember when you were 13? Did anybody have a crush on someone else in their class? Anybody else besides me? Okay. I had a crush on the best-looking guy in our class. And to give you a little bit of background on me, I was bigger than all the girls in my class and all the boys in my class. And my nickname was Moose. Seriously, so I did not get a lot of play with the guys. Until one day, my crush came up to me, not all my cute little girlfriends, came up to me and asked me to go meet him behind Island Park Elementary School to make out with him. I was very excited. Until he said there was a catch. He wanted me to meet him there at midnight. I'm thinking, I am a 13-year-old girl. He is asking me to sneak out of my house in the middle of the night to go to Island Park Elementary School just to make out with him? I am so there. So I did, and for 5 minutes I was on top of the world, and then we were done. And he said something to me in that moment that I'll never forget. He looked at me and he said, "Don't tell anyone." And I felt like I wasn't even worthy to be seen in public with. That's how horrible I felt. That to me is a balcony seat. So I want to inspire people to never feel like that again, to get out of your comfort zone and get a front row seat in life. So I've got 4 strategies to help you get a front row seat in your life. The first one is to have a vision. Where do you see yourself? What is your front row seat? What does it look like to you? Have that vision for yourself. And also, connect with and surround yourself with other people who will support you in your vision, or at least support you in your enthusiasm for your vision. I had a boss one time who did not have a vision and did not support me in my vision to one day be a motivational speaker. I was working in training and development and human resources to establish credibility to one day fulfill my vision of becoming a motivational speaker. And so I had a flyer that came across my desk advertising a big motivational rally with Zig Ziglar, Brian Tracy, and Debbie Fields, and you probably booked these speakers for this event. And I went to my boss and I said, "Can I go to this event?" I had been listening to their audio cassette tapes and read all their books, so I was so excited to see all these speakers live and in person for the first time. This is back in 1991. And I went to my boss and I said, "Can I go to this event?" And he said, "No." I said, "It's only $99. How about if I pay for it myself? You give me the day off to go, and I'll go to Philly, learn everything I can, and come back to the department, teach everybody what I learned." And he said, "No." I said, "How about if I pay for it myself and take a vacation day and go and learn everything I can and come back and teach everybody in the department what I learned?" And that's when he said, "I really don't care what you do when you go on your vacation." I said, okay, thanks for your support. Drove to Philadelphia, 10,000 people at this event. And I'm sitting right up front because that's where life is lived. But I'm really getting a lot of content from all the speakers, but also watching how they work the crowd. And I was watching the masters at work because one day I had a vision of being like them on stage. Not like them, but like Marilyn on stage. So Brian Tracy was a closing keynote speaker, and literally hundreds of people rushed the stage to shake his hand, sort of like what you will do in about 14 minutes from now. I'm positively projecting my outcome. So when I was watching him work the crowd, and he would literally look people in the eye and for about 2.5 seconds, shake their hand and pull them through the line because he had a lot of people to meet. And after 8 or 9 hands, he would switch and work this side of the room. And I thought, wow, he's really good. He's not ignoring anybody. He's connecting with his people. And then it hit me. I only have 2.5 seconds with Brian Tracy. What am I possibly going to say to him in 2.5 seconds to let him know that I am not like all these other people? I am different. I have a vision. So I went up to him, and right before I went to shake his hand, I took a deep breath, and I said, Mr. Tracy, my boss wouldn't support me coming here today, so I took a vacation day, paid for myself just to come and hear you speak. And it worked. He didn't shake my hand. He gave me a hug. And when he hugged me, he said, was it worth it? I said, yes. So now I'm driving down the Pennsylvania Turnpike. Brian Tracy hugged me. Brian Tracy hugged me. I'm so excited. Brian Tracy hugged me. I ran upstairs, and I told my husband that story. Brian Tracy hugged me. And guess what he said? Worse. He said he was probably just trying to get you to buy more tapes. I went from scraping the ceiling high to feeling about this big with that one comment. So I divorced him. It's like, why would I be married to someone who doesn't support me in my vision? Now, for those of you who I've offended because I divorced him, I don't think I'm alone. Anybody here besides me have a starter marriage in their past? Okay, so you know what I'm talking about. So the first one is to have a vision and surround yourself with people who support you in your vision. The second strategy, never underestimate the power of acknowledgement. Let people know they've made a difference for you in their life. Let people know how much you appreciate them and that you want to thank them for what they've done for you. Let people know that they've inspired you. The power of acknowledgement can change lives. It changed my life. I did one time, I acknowledged somebody, and it literally changed the course of my life forever. I was in San Diego, where my speaking people, woohoo! I was in San Diego, and I had been single for 7 years. And I thought, you know what, it's time for Moose to get a man. So, and I deserved a front row man in my life, so I decided to practice what I preach. When I speak, I talk a lot about goal setting, so I practice what I preach. I made a list of all the traits I wanted in a man. Came up with 356 traits on my list. And in the top 10, he had to speak fluent French. Why not? It's my list. So I'm at this event. I invested in my business. I go to this event, and it was a small business retreat. And in walks this guy. And he has this French accent. He talks like this. And I'm thinking, oh. And the whole weekend, I kept hearing this French accent. And I got so excited, I made a decision. And what are you like when you make a decision? You're on fire, right? So I made a decision. I am not going to wait for some man to come into my life to speak French. I'm going to go take a French class. So at the end of this retreat, I went and found him in the parking lot as he was leaving. And I said, excuse me, I just want to acknowledge you. You have no idea how much you've made a difference for me. Just by meeting you and hearing you all weekend long, I decided to take a French class. So I just want to thank you. And I swear that was my only intention. Much to my delight, he said, you do not need to take a French class. I can help you with your French. And so he took me out to dinner, and I took notes. And he took me out to dinner the next night, and I took less notes. And then I married him. I never would have seen him again had I not taken the time to acknowledge him. So don't ever underestimate the power of acknowledgement.